everyone, good day. Tala here. This is my fourth video tutorial. Today, I will teach you basic accounting with the help of Excel. Let's start. First, let us discuss the accounting equation. Asset is equals to liabilities plus equity. Please note that the accounting equation should always be balanced. What is asset? Asset is a resource that the business owns, while liabilities and equity is what the business owes. Liability is what the business owes to third party, while equity is what the business owes to its owner. Assets are represented by debits, while liabilities and equity are represented by credits. Debits is in the left side of an account, while credits refers to the right side of an account. Asset normal balance is debit, and liabilities and equity normal balance is credit. Let's discuss some of the most commonly used accounts. Under assets, we have cash, accounts receivable, inventory, property, plant and equipment, land and building, investment, and goodwill. Under liabilities, we have accounts payable, loans payable, wages payable, and taxes payable. And under equity, we have stockholders or owner's equity and retained earnings. Retained earnings are profit held for future use. Now, let's have few basic example of an accounting transaction. First, the owner invested in the business 500 pesos. Our entries: debit cash 500, credit stockholders equity 500. Next transaction, we purchase an inventory worth 500. Our entries: debit inventory 500, credit cash 500. Next transaction, borrow a loan worth 1,000. Our entry: debit cash 1,000, credit loans payable 1,000. Next transaction, purchase an asset worth 1,000. We debit asset, plant property and equipment 1,000, credit cash 1,000. Last transaction, made a sale of 800 for an inventory worth 500. Our entry: debit cash 800, we received 800. Credit inventory, our inventory worth is 500. Credit retained earnings 300. We have sales of 800 and our inventory worth is 500. Our profit is 300, which we entry in our transaction under retained earnings. Retained earnings is profit held for future use. Now, it's time for us to check our T account. Let's check our cash. Under cash, we have total debit of 2,300 and we have total credit amount of 1,500. Let's check in our transaction. We have here 500 debit cash, another 1,000, and another 800. The total is 2,300. And we credited cash 500 and another 1,000. So the total cash credited is 1,500. Next, let us check the T account for stockholders owner's equity. So we have a credit amount of 500. So here. Next, let us check the T account for inventory. Here we can see that we have a debit 500 and a credit amount of 500. So this one and this one. Next, let us check the loans payable T account. So we have a credit transaction worth 1,000. So here. Next, let us check the T account for plant property and equipment. So we debited 1,000 pesos. So this is the transaction. And lastly, let us check the T account for retained earnings. So we have one transaction in the amount of 300 credited to the retained earnings account. Next, let's check our T account's closing balances. And let's see if our account's balance is under its account normal balance. But before we proceed with our checking, let's review first all accounts' normal balances. Asset account's normal balance is debit. Liabilities normal balance is credit. And equity normal balance is credit. While revenue normal balance is credit. And lastly, expense account normal balance is debit. Those accounts with debit normal balance like assets and expenses increases when debited and it decreases when credited. While those accounts with credit normal balance like liabilities, equity, and revenue increases when credited and decreases when debited. Let's proceed with T-code balance checking. I mentioned that this tutorial in Accounting Basic is with the help of Excel. Earlier, I set up the formula in the spreadsheet. For earlier discussion in this tutorial. So we have here our T account. And here we have the accounting equation. In this discussion, we will also include account closing balance here. So let's check one by one. This data is based on the transaction we made earlier. Under asset, our closing balance is amounting to 800. So we can see it here. Under cash, 800. Next, the inventory. Under the inventory, our closing balance is 0. So here we can find it 0. Next, as under asset, we have the plant, property, and equipment. The closing balance for PPE is 1,000. And here, this is 1,000. You will notice that all asset accounts with balance closing debit. Now, let's review closing balance under liabilities. Under loan payable, we have a closing balance of 1,000. Here is loans payable 1,000. Next, under equity, we have stockholders or owner's equity. The closing balance is 500 under equity. And lastly, we have the retained earnings. We have a closing balance of 300. You will also notice that all liabilities and equity with credit closing balance. Let's add it up and check. Asset total is 1,800. Liabilities total is 1,000, while equities total is 800. So, our total asset is 1,800 and our total liabilities plus equity is 1,800. So, the asset is equal to our liabilities plus equity. We are finished with our tutorial. Let's have a quick recap of what we've learned today. We've learned about the accounting equation, asset is equal to liabilities plus equity. We define asset, liabilities, and equity. We learn about debits and credits. We learn the commonly used accounts. Also, we learn about the T accounts and the account normal balance. That's it. Thank you for watching this tutorial. Watch out for my next video. I will discuss the Excel most popular commands, function. I will also teach you about formulas. Like, comment, share below. Subscribe in my YouTube channel, Tala Opendo. This is my fourth video tutorial. I hope to improve more on my next video. Thank you everyone. God bless. Stay home and keep safe.